Well, these would be the super regional banks because they're kind of in the middle. They're the ones getting the most the benefit from the deregulation. So it would be banks between $50 billion and $250 billion that were in the really onerous regulatory environment, and now just with the passing of the recent bills have now been released to be able to come out and start helping the economy and begin able to grow their balance sheets faster than they have over the last decade.
And without that tailwind that those super regionals have, would you be less positive on the sector as a whole, i.e. the big banks, which don't have that positive regulatory tailwind behind them? Are you less positive on them now?
We're less positive, but when we look at it, we're finishing this recovery that started 10 years ago. The first thing we had was credit. Then we had to wait a long time to finally get interest rates, and we're just finishing that phase. And now we're starting the phase of deploying capital like we just saw with the CCAR announcements and seeing the deregulation. This is a normal pattern. It would typically take 3 to 5 years, and we're 10 years into it before we're actually finishing. But we think through 2019 that the banks are favorable because they are getting those three catalysts all coming to fruition now.
Do the banks that have bigger buybacks or dividends look a lot more attractive than those that don't?
Well, what they give you is that minimum support. A bank like Regions Financial is going to be able to, pay back 160% of their earnings next year, be able to produce a 10% cash flow for their investors. So yes, that is definitely one of the positive things that we're seeing, especially in those super regional banks that we talked about.
Of the bigger banks, Marty, what's your top pick?
Right now, we would really look at a Goldman or even Morgan Stanley because of the investment banking side. And being able to benefit from that, which we saw really positive results in the second quarter. And then valuation for Goldman really has pulled back this year. So we would see that is a valuation opportunity as well.
What's the top thing on the agenda of David Solomon when he takes the reins in October?
Well, what they have to do is look at broadening the company. So as they're being able to roll out Marcus, they're rolling on their online depository. Goldman Sachs was pulled into the regulatory environment for the first time in the financial crisis. They were regulated as a bank for the last 10 years. If they're going to stay there, which they have had to kind of come to grips with, that they're going to be under that regulatory environment, they might as well make the most of it by expanding their product offering. And that's what we're seeing. So being able to do that while balancing and keeping the capital markets and investment banking going is going to be the big task at hand.